relax, man. Please. It's a Sunday morning. Come on, relax. What could possibly go wrong?
Nothing bad ever happens on Sundays.
No, of course not.
I don't know who you're counting. It's not me.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's Sunday morning. No football today. First time talking NBA strategy. Well, kind of football, but not like, actionable football. NBA strategy show presented by PrizePicks right here on the Stokastic.com YouTube channel. What's happening, everybody? I'm Dave Loughran. Laffy_D. Joining me along for the ride, it's Joshua Engleman at Josh Engleman over there on the Twitters. How you doing, pal?
I'm all right. Yesterday sucked. Liverpool got embarrassed. It's a bad start to my Saturday. Shout out to 1-800-EDDIE for taking down MMA last night in a split.
Nice.
He didn't split with me, unfortunately, which would have been great, but that didn't happen. It's a crummy Saturday.
Well, it's over now. In the rear view. It's Sunday.
It is.
Can you believe people actually used to do those radio voices and like that was the way it was, like, hey, everybody, welcome to the Stokastic.
Strip club DJs too.
What's that?
Strip club DJ too. Same sort of thing. Yeah.
And it was pop, like it worked. And then I always found it funny because I'm a bit like, I used to love the old Howard Stern show back like the Artie Lang days. I know you weren't as big into that. I actually got into it much later, like after listening to older clips and stuff. But I used to love that type of stuff. We didn't have you didn't have like big YouTube shows and podcasts back in the day. It was kind of what you did. And then there was a time where it got like that type of personality and that goofy like inflection in the voice got phased out, but some people didn't get the memo, right? Like they never got the notice. So years later, they're still doing that. And it's like, man, unlistenable. You can't imagine if someone did that. You would turn it off immediately these days.
Yeah, it's so cringy. It's like yuck comedy. It's terrible.
It's the worst.
It's terrible.
But we won't be doing that today. Don't worry.
No. I will be terrible for way different reasons.
I will ask to hit that thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment down below too. We at very least we try and read all of them, respond to as many as we can. If you're listening in podcast form, which I know some of you guys do, you can't see us here, mate. You're listening after the fact. That's all right. Leave a rating and a review. Subscribe to the pod. Tell your friends. All that stuff goes a long way. So, I've been doing NFL all year and I'm kind of out of the loop with certain NBA show scheduling. Is this the first Sunday NBA strategy show of the year?
As far as I know, yes.
Jordan's nodding his head in agreement. Okay. So it's the first Sunday. Not usually huge slates here, but we have 5 games on FanDuel. We got 4 games on DraftKings. So 5:00 Eastern tip, Josh, on FanDuel, 6:00 on DraftKings. No real need to dive into this 1 p.m. game. It's not included on any of the main slates. No,
I'm not going to do that.
Okay.
Play all the guys that start because it's a showdown game. Like, there's no analysis there.
And we do have tools for it. So
we sure do.
We got tools and all that stuff. If you're looking to dive into that, go for it. All right. So let's talk a little basketball. By the way, do you think it's weird that, so I have this hat, right? This black, Jordan told me that it's Ruka, right? That's how it's actually pronounced, right? Not RVCA. Okay. Is it odd that I went out and I bought the exact same hat once the other one started to get a little dingy?
No, not at all.
I don't think so.
No.
My wife was
I would buy another version of this hat just to make sure that I had it as a backup if something happened to it. Yeah.
Like if you have a hat you really like, going out and buying the exact, because you know how hats are. Hats, the fit on certain hats you might think that they all fit the same. No.
Yeah.
I've had some hats that I buy online and then I never returned them, but I never wore them once because I looked like a dummy.
Yeah, I've got a couple in the closet that like don't have the right depth for my head, so they sit up a little too high, and it's just
or
like
some
that
of them
hat's just
flare
dead
out
to me.
A little bit on the sides around the ears, and they make you look real dumb.
Yeah, they got to go at that point. So when you find one that you like,
you stick with it.
I don't mind doubling down, making sure you have it.
So we'll start with FanDuel here. As always, like I said, happy that you guys could join us on a Sunday morning. Hopefully your Saturdays went a little bit better than Josh's. Cleveland and
To be
Indiana.
fair, my DFS was fine. I broke even in MMA, which is pretty hard to do. You either
It's
get
Liverpool
absolutely creamed
you?
or the top. Liverpool was bad. It was really
It's
bad.
so odd. I mean, because you know how I am with the Eagles, right? Like
Sure.
obviously they're in the Super Bowl. That Sunday could end up being next Sunday could end up being very bad for me, and I'll be saying the same thing to you on Monday.
It's
Well,
my
I'm sure
birthday too, by the way.
Monday's your birthday?
No, Sunday.
Oh my God, I hope the Eagles win.
Oh no, I'm going to blow out the candles trying to get some other sort of outcome.
I know. Yeah, a little black magic over there. Like,
No, it's my life, man. The Eagles are going to win the Super Bowl for sure on my birthday. I've never known anything better in my life.
But it is so odd because like obviously around this area, very, very tribal when it comes to sports. Like it's a thing, it's a real thing.
It is.
But for you, it's not like Liverpool's the only one that upsets you when they lose. It's very odd. No other teams.
So it used to be different. Duke would ruin my day. The Braves had the opportunity to ruin my day. The artist formerly known as the Redskins never really got me to that point because they were just always shit. So I never like got to feel that like they were any good to begin with. But Duke for sure and the Braves for sure.
Yeah.
That's just gone now due to DFS and growing up, I guess.
So
Liverpool's different.
Your birthday's Super Bowl Sunday.
It is.
God, that's going to be good.
I didn't want to do shit for it. Like I don't like the Super Bowl. I probably like my birthday less than I like the Super Bowl, which is pretty hard to do. Katie was just like, do you want to, like, we're going to do this, this, and this for the Super Bowl. I was like, by the way, the Super Bowl is my birthday. So I don't want to do any of that shit. She just like had this dejected look on her face. And then I find out that one of my buddies is going to end up being in town. So I was just like, I guess we're just going to do shit for the Super Bowl. And I got to like celebrate my birthday for once.
You're going to be 37, right?
I'm going to be 38.
30. Okay. Adam and I were trying to guess how old Ben was. And we're like, it's either 30 or 57.
He's like Benjamin Button.
That's what I'm saying. And Josh Adam thought you and I were the same age. And I said, I think Josh is a couple years older than me. So, because I'm 36 in March 26th. Okay. So you got basically 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is basically the same age either way.
Aside from EMAC, you're the senior here,
huh? Terry, I guess. I don't know. Yeah.
Jordan's like 19.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess it's me.
Yeah. How old do you think Ben is? I'm thinking like 32.
No, I think he's a little older than that, isn't he?
Is he?
I think he's your age. If I could be wrong.
No, he's definitely younger than I am. Yeah. How old is he? 33. Okay. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. And then Adam's 33 as well. Yeah. Can't wait to be doing these. I'm going to be in here doing that radio voice when I'm like 47.
Probably.
Let's talk basketball.
I hope that I'm not doing this at 40 whatever.
It would be like you'd be dejected.
Not that I would be mad about doing this, but I'm hoping things have broken slightly different.
Oh yeah, for sure.
In a similar genre, I think I don't know if DFS is still here at that point.
If you looked at like, and by the way, we love this job. That's not what Josh.
Yeah, I don't actually want this to ever end.
No.
In like the grand scheme of things.
No, you just get shipped over to serious fantasy where it's like all just 55-year-old dudes talking about stats that were popular back in the late 90s, you know?
Yeah.
All right. So
exactly.
Cleveland. Let's get into this one. Cleveland at the Pacers. Of course, Cleveland never makes for a particularly good matchup for any team facing them. No. But today, and we will pay attention to the Karis LeVert news. He's questionable going into this one. 226.5 total. Cleveland laying 5 on the road here. Just looking at this one from a pace perspective, from an overall matchup perspective, the Pacers are the 4th fastest team in the league. Defensively, they've been, okay, kind of middle of the road this season. But they're 114.5 defensive rating, 22nd. When it boils down to it, looking at this Cleveland team where you've got Mitchell and Garland essentially the same price, Jared Allen, power forward, center eligibility, Mobley, power forward, center eligibility, speaking strictly on FanDuel here where it's included in the slate. Do you agree with 3 of these guys pulling 20+% on a 5-gamer today?
Yeah, I don't think it's all that crazy. The price tags work. You get someone like Jared Allen having the power forward and center eligibility. So it makes it a little bit easier to fit those guys in. You get Mobley, who's just a little bit more expensive than Allen. So those guys Mobley's playing like 2 minutes a game more than Allen in general, but Mobley is a little bit better on a per minute basis, or at least has been recently, probably neutrals if we're looking at it in the grand scheme. That's why Mobley's pulling 13 and Jared Allen's pulling 20. He's just a little bit too expensive for that price tag. But I mean, we kind of know what these guys are doing when like their big four starts. You can rotate through whatever you want in that fifth spot. We're going to get Darius Garland in and around 27% usage. We're going to get Donovan Mitchell in and around that 30% usage mark. We're going to get a little bit more playmaking out of Darius Garland, but he's given back a couple shots in the Mitchell way. They all kind of just look the same. Like Jared Allen, Mitchell, Garland, all came out of my sim right around that 20% mark, right where their ownership is coming in. The trickier part starts to come in how you want to work your way down Cleveland. Since it's a 5-game slate, you got to sort of talk about the bench. If LeVert is in at 5,100 shooting guard, small forward eligibility, I don't mind him. He's going to play around 28 minutes a game. He's a completely different player when everybody is healthy. He's like 18% usage. You get one of those two main guards out of there, and all of a sudden, Karis LeVert just becomes Karis LeVert again. Isaac Okoro is going to fall into a bunch of minutes and be really bad, generally speaking. 0.77 FanDuel points per minute over the past 30 days. They like Dean Wade. He's back in the rotation now. I think the most interesting piece here, Kevin Love got a DNP CD on Thursday, and that was with Karis LeVert out. They gave 32 minutes to Chetty. I don't know if Kevin Love is going to be a part of this rotation moving forward, which is, one, kind of crazy to think about. Two, maybe he's traded by Thursday, but it changes the way that you look at Mobley at least a little bit, because he's going to be the backup center instead of it being essentially Kevin Love backing up Jared Allen.
On the other side, where you have the Pacers, or you're looking at a slightly different setup here. I mean,
yeah,
Halliburton's not overpriced. He played those two back-to-backs in return from like a 3-week absence, 35, 34 minutes, two good matchups too against the Lakers and the Sacramento Kings. Now you've got him coming into a far inferior spot. Now, this isn't to say that on a 5-game slate, we shouldn't be taking chances, but it's worth mentioning. Like, Cleveland does play at the slowest pace, and they have the best defense in the league. Ultimately, they make for pretty much the worst matchup that you could find on paper for an opponent.
Yeah.
Does low ownership on some of these Indiana players at least make them palatable, or would we still be better suited looking elsewhere, I guess is the question.
There's not a ton here that looks good. I think it's mostly just guys that look passable. Buddy Hield, shooting guard, small forward eligible, 6,700 minutes have been up as of late. He's playing 35, 36 minutes a night. I think there's probably still a little bit of value to squeeze out of him, but he's 10% owned. I'm not saying that he should be like 30 or anything like that, but if you told me it should be 15 instead of 10, that would make some sense. I don't mind going to Halliburton. Like, clearly he's back. He's able to play the full run. He's going to be a 1.25 fantasy point per minute guy. Does everything. I mean, if something is happening for the Pacers, I assume it's happening through Halliburton, whether that's his shot or him getting someone else involved. If you want to pay $8K for Miles Turner, like, that's fine. He's the type of guy that can go on a big block party. That's going to play a little bit better on FanDuel than it does on DraftKings. Nesmith now is playing bigger minutes, and the price is rising, but he is not a good per minute guy. This is a guy that I was on a lot like 2 weeks ago, never really paid me off. Now that Halliburton comes back, he's somehow like a better guy. It's pretty annoying to see. He's the guy that I think is probably most underrepresented. He's a 0.75 guy, but if he's going to play 33 minutes, 35 minutes, and 32 minutes like he has in the past 3 games, there's a little bit of value there. It's just really unappealing value to get to.
Yeah, and unrealistic to think that he continues with at this per minute pace that we've seen over the last 2 games since Halliburton returned too.
Absolutely. I don't expect that to happen. I expect him to just be the 0.75 guy that he normally is.
Like, if he was going to keep producing like that, I would say the $5,000 salary is probably underpricing him. But
yeah,
you're talking what, right around a fantasy point per minute or more in those last 2 games. It seems unlikely to continue, and it seems unlikely that Halliburton's return is the reason, that he's been better.
That's not how that usually works.
No, exactly right. Anything else? Actually, how about this? Since this game is only on FanDuel, and it is one of only 5 on that slate, who are your top? Are your top 3 plays all coming from Cleveland, and are your top 4 plays from this game all coming from Cleveland?
That's a good question. Let me look.
Because it would just give us a better idea of like how little we like the Indiana Pacers in an abbreviated slate.
I think the 3 best plays in this game are Jared Allen, Donovan Mitchell, and Tyrese Halliburton.
Okay, so Halliburton is up.
I think Halliburton and Garland, you can flip a coin between the two. I don't really see like much of a difference. They're relatively similar in ownership. I've got them projected relatively similar, accounting for the fact that Halliburton is $700 more expensive. But I think it's those 4 for sure, and I can quibble on Halliburton or Garland.
Okay, let's talk about Philly then in New York. At this stage of the game, we kind of just have to assume that Embiid's going to play. I know the other day that you had mentioned to Adam, you thought it would be a decent spot to rest Embiid. Not this game, but a few days ago, yeah. I mentioned to Adam after they came back from that, extended West Coast road trip, 10-point favorites against Orlando, that it would be a good spot to rest him. And they didn't on either of these. So nope. Game time decision, it seems like, each and every night, or you're getting word, I don't know, an hour or so ahead of this. But at this point, I don't see how we could take any approach other than saying we just have to assume he's going to be on the floor tonight.
Yep, that's all that we could really do. And like for DraftKings, we're going to know. You're going to get this news at 5:30 to 5:45. Be ready for it. If you've got nothing else crazy going on and you really want to, you're really big on Embiid, run 2 sets of crunches, one with Joel Embiid in, one with Joel Embiid out. So you just have the backup plan already ready. But for now, assuming that he is in, this is probably the least interesting game on the DraftKings main slate. Highest owned guy is actually Tobias Harris at 5,700 on DK. I ran a dummy crunch before this show started. I basically don't have Philly. Small shares of Harris. I didn't really get to Embiid, although clearly I don't mind. I mean, we're talking about a guy where when you have Harden himself, Harris, and Melton all starting, Embiid is at like 39% usage. He's got like a 20% assist rate, close to a 20% rebounding rate. I mean, he does everything out there. But we also have Domantas Sabonis on today's slate, slightly cheaper, just center only. We've got Nikola Jokic on this slate, $100 more expensive than Embiid. The 3 most expensive guys on today's slate are those 3 guys, all center only. So it becomes a really difficult opportunity. Like, even if you want to say I'm paying up for a center today, clearly like one of those, you expect one of those 3 guys to have a big day. They all have to beat each other too. And it starts to become really difficult in that it's not just about paying up. Right away, you know that you need to win whoever is in that group of 3. And that just becomes very, very difficult to sift through, because I think all 3 of those guys look pretty similar. I think Embiid is the best option of the 3 pay up centers. But I don't know how great it makes me feel, because there's so many guys that you could also pay down for.
And then you start talking about guys like Maxey. His price is, steadily falling. But in order to get a big game from him, you need something like last time. I actually talked about this on a show, a strategy show of a sponsor that will not be named on this particular show, because you know how that goes. But sure. I was on the under 28.5 points, rebounds, assists for Maxey, because he's coming off the bench. His minutes are down from where they were. And it's not like he's playing a lot of minutes without either one of Embiid or Harden on the floor with him. So he's relying on efficiency right now. Sure, he was 8 for 15 last game, 3 of 4 from 3. But if you're like, he's not going to provide a lot in the way of peripherals. No. I don't think the price tag is insane on Maxey, because once in a while he does blow up. But you're not getting the same opportunities, the same big playing time. And it's not like coming off the bench, he's playing 12 minutes a game with neither of these guys on the floor. Almost at all times, like save for 4 minutes in a game, he's on the floor with one of Embiid and James Harden and Tobias Harris.
Yeah, he's just a guy right now. 59, like I didn't get any when I ran my crunch. I think about 7% ownership is what we're projecting. And I think that makes a lot of sense. I'll pose this one to you. On the mock trade deadline podcast for Nate Duncan, Danny LaRue, it's Kevin Pelton and why can't I remember who the fourth person is? It doesn't matter. They do but Dan Feldman. They do a mock trade deadline. Everybody represents a different team, and they try to handle what the trade deadline is going to be. They did a Philly trade. They did a Philly trade with Toronto, and it was Tyrese Maxey and Tobias Harris for Gary Trent and OG Anunoby. Where do you land on that as a Philly fan?
Man, Harris is kind of take him or leave him at this point.
I think Gary Trent and Tobias Harris are like comparable NBA players.
Yeah, I guess.
Fully functional starters that like nobody gives a shit about.
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And that like, unless there's injuries, we don't talk about him for DFS.
Right. Like Harris is overpaid, but like he's not bad. He's just not worth the particular salary he has.
I still wouldn't want to give up Maxey for like, if you're saying that now becomes a 1-for-1, right? Like a Maxey for OG, I wouldn't want to do that.
Okay.
The only reason is like, I think Maxey still has more untapped potential than we've seen. Sure, he went through a slump recently, but like the guy has been notoriously a good 3-point shooter. He has only gotten better since we've seen him debut a couple of years ago. So no, I don't, that wouldn't be enough to move the needle for me at all. Like I think if you're moving Maxey, here's the way I look at it. And I think, I don't know if you'll agree, but you should agree, given how small the window is for this Philadelphia team to compete, right? We don't know how many great years Embiid has left at that size. We don't know what Harden has left in the tank, especially over the course of these long seasons. If you're going to include Maxey in a package, it has to be for a win now star that puts them over the top. You have to go all in. You have to throw all the chips in the middle of the table. Otherwise, it's not worth it.
I could argue that is the trade that actually puts them over.
No, it wouldn't.
Does Tyrese Maxey close a finals game, generally speaking? So you think it's Maxey, Harden?
It depends what the score is. It always, I'm saying closing these games always depends what position you're in. Are you trying to hold an 8-9 point?
I look at it like this. OG Anunoby unequivocally closes for Philly every single game that they would play if they made that trade. Tyrese Maxey does not.
Yeah, it's just still not something I would want to do with still untapped potential there.
It's an interesting trade, though.
I'm not saying it's not interesting, but
I think it makes Philly better right now.
It doesn't move the needle enough for me. Like that's not beating Boston. You need a star.
I think they're more likely to beat Boston if you make that trade than if you don't.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe. It's possible. Maxey had some games where he single-handedly won them in the postseason last year. Maxey.
I don't know how much you could play Maxey and Harden together in the playoffs.
Yeah, again, it depends. Like if it depends. But Maxey is someone that I personally would not want to get rid of.
Okay.
Would you?
If I'm Philly, I do that deal.
If you're Philly and Brooklyn was like, we'll give you Irving for Maxey straight up, would you do it?
No.
If you're Philly.
No chance.
Why?
Why would I not do Kyrie for Maxey?
Straight up, yeah.
So then we're going to be looking at a closing five of Kyrie, Harden, Embiid, Harris, one of Tucker or Melton, I guess, probably Tucker.
Yeah, I just wouldn't do it because Kyrie Irving would decide 5 games later that he's not interested in playing basketball anymore.
Like, obviously that makes them better for this year. I can't, like, there's no denying that Kyrie
Irving is objectively better than Tyrese Maxey. Yes.
Agreed.
But far more volatile with a lot more question marks as far as whether he's going to be on the floor or not.
I would rather have OG Anunoby in that scenario and Gary Trent than I would Kyrie for this team in the playoffs.
That's fair. That's fair. There's too much baggage with Kyrie. Like, he'll go to another team. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I guarantee there are plenty of teams out there that have mulled over the idea, and the front office is like, they all look at each other and they go, do we really want to deal with this shit? I'm serious. Like, do we do we really want to put up with this shit and be that team that you know, it's more than just being a good basketball player at this point.
I find Kyrie Irving's entire situation to be so fascinating.
Why?
I don't know I don't even know how to say it. It's the way that he misses time is just so weird because he's like the biggest problem that's not a problem.
You're going to have to elaborate on that one, pal.
Like,
he's
his unreliability is so, the way that he becomes unreliable is so weird. Like all of the COVID vaccination stuff, I don't know where to land on that. Like, I don't hate him for it.
I actually have zero, you know me, I have zero problem with him doing that at all. That's not an issue. I really don't. I don't know why Jordan's making a face. I don't give a shit what people think. I'm
not trying to take a stand on what the content of the documentary was, but I also don't care that he tweeted that link either.
Oh, see, oh, Jesus, dude, you had to.
But like, that's what I mean. His unreliability is weird because like it's not like he's getting DUIs or something. Like, he is not available for games in ways that no one is ever not available for games.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, he's not out there catching like domestic abuse charges and
no, like I think he's actually a good guy.
And I mean, maybe in some instances misguided or misinformed. Not everything, you know, like if again, the vac situation, he didn't want to do it. Okay. I'm not, like, I don't have an issue with, I honestly don't.
Neither do I.
People wanted to crucify him for that. I actually don't even get why that's controversial, where it's like, oh, well, he gets paid. I know he gets paid, but it's his, like that. But here's the thing though. That's only one thing. It's been many different instances, right? Like many different things where Kyrie Irving has caused issues with the team. And whether I agree with it or not, right? Whether you agree with it, forget about supporting it or like just whether we accept it or not, which doesn't matter, right? None of that's important. What's important is the bottom line for an NBA organization. That's all that matters here.
Yeah.
Like, that's all that matters. And they're going to look at it. And even if some of them agree with some of the stuff he's done, they're like, yeah, but we're going to be paying this guy millions of dollars to play basketball. We would like for him to play basketball.
So that's the weird thing. He has played over the past 2 years and 3 years so much more than people actually notice. And so much more than a lot of people that haven't played as much. Like,
very true.
It's not as crazy as it seems, just full scale across the board.
Very true.
But he's like turning himself into a pariah in a weird way. It's a really interesting balance.
You would think, you would think that just given everything that's been talked about with him, that he's played as many games as Jonathan Isaac over the last 3 years.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Like, hasn't been the case. Anyway, let's flip to the other side of this. We could go on. We could go on forever about this, but I will agree with you on this. Most stuff is blown out of proportion and people just come looking for somebody's head. And I say it all the time. Like, the people that are offended by everything and find ways to be outraged over everything. I wish I could shake them and be like, you live a horrible life. Like, if that's not fun, you go do something for yourself. This gets you nowhere. I'm not trying to get all philosophical. I'm just saying I see that shit all the time. And I look at it, nameless, faceless person, and I go, man, I don't think you understand. Life could be a whole lot better if you just stop giving a shit what other people that don't affect you were doing.
It's insane. We have just too much access to information.
That's all it is. Yep. That's all it is. It's all. It's crazy. Anyway,
I can't imagine getting mad about something that is not involved in my life.
Zero effect on you.
Whew.
Zero.
I got enough awful shit that's going on in my actual life. I don't need to take
That's
on
what
other
I'm
people's
saying,
bullshit.
man. That's why I got way too much shit going on. The pendulum will shift the other direction, and I just hope that these insane people that are upset by everything, I just hope that they don't cause the pendulum shift to where you have another hard extreme on the other side, because that'll be just as bad. You know what I mean? Like,
Agreed.
That'll be just as bad. They better hope that you better have some foresight here, because it could get ugly on the opposite side. What are you doing with the Knicks today? Is this another team that is largely kind of like just take pieces of them, but nobody stands out as a top option?
No, unfortunately, I think I see the Knicks a little bit differently, but I tend to see the Knicks differently. And it's just because, look, this is a 4-game slate. And of all the teams on this slate, we'll talk about Toronto in a second. We know what the Knicks are going to do. They are going to play their starters heavy minutes. Jalen Brunson's playing 38 minutes a night. Julius Randle's playing 38 minutes a night. RJ Barrett's playing somewhere between 27 and 44 minutes a night, depending on what's going on here. I mean, this guy's just out there all the time, or somehow gets benched and doesn't play the final 16 minutes. I think he looks great at 6,400. Quentin Grimes is a perfectly reasonable value play that you get shooting guard, small forward eligibility on. He's going to play 35 minutes. He's going to do dick all while he's on the floor. He's like a 0.65 guy. But again, there's a 4-game slate. You're getting flexibility. You're getting salary savings. You get Emmanuel Quickly, who could play anywhere from 27 minutes to getting extra minutes over someone like RJ Barrett. All of a sudden, Quickly's playing 34. To me, he's viable, pulling a little ownership. And then we get this weird center rotation where Jericho Sims goes out there, plays a first quarter rotation, second quarter rotation, third quarter rotation like he's a normal center. He does absolutely nothing. This is a guy that does not shoot when he starts. It is insane to me how little this man participates in the offense for the Knicks. In starts, I'm pulling this up right now just to make sure that we get this exactly right. Jericho Sims has started a bunch of games at this point. This is going to be, it's truly crazy what this guy does when he's out there. So he has started 10 games this season, played 247 minutes in those 10 games. So we're talking about 24 minutes a game-ish for Jericho Sims. Do you know how many shots he's taken in those 10 games?
10 games?
Yeah.
I'm going to say, I mean, clearly it's a wildly low number, and lower than even I would suspect, because it can't be high, it can't be in the middle. This is how these questions are posed. And I would always pose them to Ben to set him up thinking that it's going to be the one direction, right? So he goes heavy and then he's just really far off. And
sure.
I'm going to say 12.
It's 22.
Okay. I went real low, but he
has made 21 of them.
That's remarkable. But yeah, some games with 0.
Yeah, he basically hasn't. I believe this most recent game is the first time that he's missed one. I think he was perfect at that point in time. I could be wrong though.
How many shots do you think he's attempted over his last 6 games? Just with,
I don't know, 8,
6.
Yeah. It's insane. So he's been playing these rotations, but the past 2 games, he takes that rotation in the third and then just doesn't come back out. We got 29 minutes out of Isaiah Hartenstein on Thursday. We got 31 and a half on Saturday because of overtime. On the Tuesday prior to that, they went to overtime. Isaiah Hartenstein played 40 minutes. He basically played like the final 25 minutes at center. So I have this split as 22 to Sims, 26 to Hartenstein, the exact opposite of what you ever expect in these games. You also get the fact that Jericho Sims then is going to be, what I would imagine, lined up on the opposite side of Embiid. So you might be getting Hartenstein not up against Embiid as much, which is definitely good from a foul trouble perspective. 6% owned Isaiah Hartenstein at 4K today. We've talked about centers, and I mentioned how we have these 3 giant pay-up options. We also have someone like Isaiah Hartenstein who's live to play 26, 28, 30, 32 minutes, depending on how things break for Sims, at just 6% ownership. I find him to be the most interesting GPP option from the Knicks. If you're trying to get a little bit different and looking for low ownership, I don't know why Hartenstein isn't that guy right now.
Okay. that does make some sense. On a short slate like this, it certainly makes sense getting virtually no ownership. Wait, what's his price on FanDuel?
He is $5K on FanDuel, which is a little bit trickier, but he also gets the power forward eligibility. So you increase your flexibility.
And 4K on draft.
Wait, 4K on DraftKings. He's like a 0.95 fantasy point per minute guy.
Why is he getting such little ownership at that price point?
That's a fantastic question. I'm not entirely sure I know the answer.
I mean, how many minutes are you projecting him for?
I gave him 26. At the very least, I'm expecting him to play whatever Jericho Sims doesn't play at center.
I understand like the positional eligibility only being center is, somewhat problematic, but
here's how I have it right now. He's in 6% of lineups. I have him in 18. That doesn't change my day if something goes wrong here, but that's the perfect guy that I can 3x the field on for someone that could potentially play 30 minutes today. If he gets to 30 fantasy points, you're in great shape.
Yeah, man. And there's upside for more minutes as we've seen.
Yeah. Now, if two of Sabonis, Jokic, and Joel Embiid have like 75th percentile days, then it's probably not going to matter that you got 30 fantasy points out of Isaiah Hartenstein. But if it's only one of those guys, you can still get the value here.
Talk about Toronto, Memphis. Before we do though, shout out to our sponsor, PrizePicks. Man,
yeah.
Where else are you having a site go, hey, listen, we're going to give you $100 first match deposit bonus. You come over, you play at a great site. Josh has been throwing his picks out every day, too. If you haven't noticed, over at Josh Engleman on Twitter. And also say, all right, yeah, but if you do it through Stokastic, we got the link in the description and in chat. You're also getting a free month of Stokastic Plus Platinum. All of the tools that we have to offer, everything for every single sport, right? It's $120 value across the board, not just basketball, covering all of that. Also, like player prop tools and stuff as well, that's free when you sign up using that link over at PrizePicks. Not only are you playing at a good site where you're just building lineups, you'd be considered parlays elsewhere, right? But there's no juice on either side, just over, under. You can mix as many sports in as you want. It's that simple. If you hit all 5 of your picks, you 10x. If you hit 6 of 6, you go 6 of 6, you're 25xing. But the cool thing is, like on a 5 lineup or a 5-play lineup, if you hit 4 or 5, unlike a traditional book, you're still making money. You're 2xing. You're still 2xing if you hit 4 of 5. Otherwise, other books, it's like, thank you for playing. Try again. You hit 3 of 5, you still make money back on these. So awesome way to build your bankroll and also have a good shot of hitting big money on these as well. Whether you're playing $10 lineups or $100 lineups, million different ways to do it. And they have a lot of props that you actually won't find in other places. More exploitable lines as well, but you're getting all of our tools. Josh, I say it all the time. How many people are out there going, shit, man, I'm rocking the Stokastic avatar. I'm grinding. I'm trying to get the free month. I want to get inducted into the Hall of Fame. I want to get the free month, but I can't pay. Like I'm not playing high enough stakes, enough volume to pay $120 for all these tools for the month. So I haven't been up. I haven't finished top 3 in a field of 5,000 or more yet, getting up on the Hall of Fame segment. You don't have to. You don't have to with this.
No, you don't. I love it. You're going to see a PrizePicks video out of me starting tomorrow, Monday through Friday.
Yeah, that's right. I'm stoked about that.
That has got so much. I'm stokastic about it. That was terrible. I should have kept that on myself. But that's coming soon. Look, we've got the tools at the site that will help you out at PrizePicks. You can get an extra $100 if you sign up. Like, I mean, it's a perfect opportunity to start there and grind out the bankroll a bit. I've hit 2 5 of 5s. We missed out on a 5 of 5 with Luka getting hurt 2 nights ago or 3 nights ago, whenever that was. He had 50 fantasy points in 22 minutes. I basically just needed him to be on the floor for the rest of the game to hit an over and grab another 5 of 5. Unfortunately, that ended up being the loser. But still, you get paid out to 4 of 5. No complaints there. Friday, I took a beating, so I hope everybody like had something to do and ignored me that day.
Either way, it's I've had fun following your stuff over there. It's been people love PrizePicks is blowing up too. But check it out. Use the link, get the $100 first match deposit bonus, and when you're dude, get the free month. Use all of our tools. And even sports that you might like MMA, you don't have to be familiar with it. We have the top fighter tool, we have the ownership, we have the projections. We have all of that stuff. Like these are spots that you don't even need to necessarily know well in order to be able to make some money. So all I say, check it out, get the free month. We want you to use the tools because we want you to win. We want you to get into Discord. We want you to have success. So then you stick around. What better way to do that than saying, take a free month and find out for yourself if you're going to win with these tools. We think you will, which is exactly why we're doing this. Link in the description and in chat. All right, so let's talk about Toronto and Memphis. Kind of a fun game here. Toronto Raptors, 3.5-point dogs against the Grizzlies. 231 total. So how about this? Over his last 10 games, Fred VanVleet, this is a guy who, like, at one point of the season, we're going, man, clear second fiddle to Pascal Siakam. Like, what's going on with him? Over the last 10 games, now the usage isn't insane. It's at what? 26.2%, but he's doing everything. His assist rate over that stretch leads the team at 27%. So he's taken on more of that responsibility, which we saw kind of fall to the wayside at times midway through the year. 1.25 fantasy points per minute over that stretch too. Now, 1.25 fantasy points per minute. I just want to drive this home, Josh. Usually you're like, that's not bad, not great. When you play for Nick Nurse and you could play upwards of 41 minutes in regulation, 1.25 fantasy points per minute starts to look real damn good.
Yeah, he looks great again today. 24% owned on DraftKings at 8,400. That's the highest mark for anyone from Toronto, but I completely agree with it. I've got more than that. I'm 2xing VanVleet as of right now. 26% usage when you get VanVleet, Siakam, Barnes, and Trent starting with OG Anunoby off. 27% usage rate. I mean, he looks very, very... I basically have him and Siakam projected the same. Siakam's $600 more expensive and center only. And I've already mentioned, we've got 3 other pay-up centers above that. So I find Siakam to be kind of difficult to get to today. But Toronto is basically just Canadian New York Knicks. I mean, it's like 5 guys that are just going to play a shit ton of playing time, very little opportunity to roster anybody else. To me, it's really easy to just want to say, like, I want to get to some of Toronto. I think VanVleet looks the best. If you want to tell me that you like Siakam or Barnes or Trent or Precious Achiuwa, by all means. It's a 4-game slate on DraftKings. So if you want to roll the dice on 20 minutes of Chris Boucher as a north of a fantasy point per minute guy with power forward eligibility today, he's pulling 13% ownership. That's exactly what I have as well. So I have no problems going there. It's just like the Knicks. Play the starters in a competitive matchup. They're going to get 37, 38, upwards of 40 minutes, and you're going to feel pretty good about it. 1 or 2 of these guys are just going to be parts of really good lineups. Hard to figure out which one it ends up being, but I'm happy to get them all.
But the one thing you can feel confident is that you don't have to worry about their minutes. Like, you know that if you're playing these guys, the ones you're referring to, almost all of them, the opportunity is always going to be there. It's just a matter of whether they produce with those minutes. But just, I don't know. I love these type of rotations on short slates because, like you said, if you wanted to just scatter them around a little bit, you can do it knowing you're getting 37 minutes minimum for most of these starters.
Yeah, I have VanVleet, Siakam, and Barnes all in for 38, Trent for 37. I've got 30 for Precious, and that could be anywhere from like 26 to 34. That's just another center too. Like, it's...
Yep, just another, exactly. What about on the other side? We do have some questions. Like, it's possible John Morant and Jaren Jackson don't play. Dylan Brooks for the nut shot got suspended for a game. So that definitely opens things up a little bit, but this game could look a lot different if Jaren Jackson Jr. or more importantly, John Morant end up sitting for this game.
Yeah, this one's basically impossible to talk about right now with, 2 of their starters.
Before lock, deeper dive, all that good stuff too.
Yeah. We're missing their normal center. We're now missing their normal starting small forward, and the starting point guard and power forward are both questionable. We're seeing ownership coming in. Now, I like Ja for 10-2 today at 22% owned. If you want to pay up and you don't want to go to one of those pay up centers, more than happy to get to Ja. I am 2xing the field if he is in right now. I like the spot. Don't mind getting to Bane. I like Jaren Jackson quite a bit at 7K. Has been playing a couple extra minutes now with Steven Adams out. So long as he stays out of foul trouble, that's going to be good for him. You get the power forward center eligibility, so you're not just fixated on one specific spot. So I'm giving him an extra minute more than he normally gets. He's a 24% usage guy when Dylan Brooks isn't around. Clearly has the opportunity to hang a ton of blocks and steals. I mean, this guy gets stocks like it's nobody's business. I think John Konchar is a very interesting option for today that we don't have pulling as much ownership as I think he should be getting. He's shooting guard, small forward eligible, finally made his return this past Thursday, played 28 minutes. I gave him that same 28 minutes. That's sort of what he was playing when these guys were out earlier. But 3,500, you can put him at guard, forward, and utility. I'm a little surprised that his value isn't there. He looks just sort of like, your Quentin Grimes type guys where, he's going to be out there. He's going to be like a 0.75 guy. I was surprised. I don't know where else I would want to go here. I assume Tillman gets the start at center again. When we see Tillman starts, he plays about 27 minutes a game. Perfectly reasonable $4,400 value. Again, another guy as a pay down center that's just out there, viable. I have no idea why Brandon Clark is getting 13% ownership at 5,400, while Tillman is getting 3% ownership at 4,400, unless you're assuming that Brandon Clark is starting for today. I don't know. But assuming it's Tillman again, like it was on Thursday, I think he's very underrepresented in the ownership.
And there's just a lot of moving parts with this one too.
There are. If Jackson isn't in, we're going straight back to $4,100 Santi Aldama. You're going to be projecting him for 28, 30, 32 minutes, something in that neighborhood. If Ja Morant is out, then you're playing Tyus Jones, 4,200 in everything that you've got.
I was going to say everywhere. Yeah. He
will be in 100% of my lineups.
Yep. He becomes the play across the board, hands down. And then you can work off of that. You know what else is interesting though? The Sacramento game, because you've got the Kings going up against the Pelicans. Joe Val's undergoing an MRI for that knee, and I don't think he's officially ruled out, but there's no way he's playing today.
Yeah, right? I mean, I have him in right now. We don't, because Loughran and Gomez is the highest owned guy on the slate. But
I don't think I can't imagine. Second of a back-to-back, right?
It is. It is.
Second of a back-to-back. With the knee, undergoing an MRI, playing the next day. I don't know. Seems unlikely. Look,
I doubt it, but I'm not. There's nothing I can do until we get an injury report.
I hear you. Yeah, it's still early. We'll see though. It seems unlikely though. It said though he had no brace or crutches, so that's good. You never know. Odder things have happened, right? But they
need him out. They don't need him out there for that many minutes, evidently. It's not like he's going deep in games any longer.
Yeah, isn't that the truth? Talking about Sacramento, though, De'Aaron Fox for the personal. Is that zinc?
No, it's all sorts of different shit, but that was vitamin D and fish oil.
It's so odd that you've scheduled to take them during shows instead of just.
It's not. I just looked down and realized that I hadn't taken them yet.
Oh, okay. Man, remember what was it? Zinc. What was the? Don't you remember we had someone made?
Yeah, there was some sort of gimmick with me in the zinc.
What was the animal or something that was like a zinc? People were posting pictures. Someone in chat.
Chat'll know. Yeah.
God, that might have been 2 years ago now.
Oh yeah, time is weird.
It's a flat circle, man. So is the Earth. Kidding. So let's talk about. We were talking about Kyrie earlier, right? I figured we had to toss that in there. Davion Mitchell, it's not all that surprising that he was just absolutely putrid last game. The guy just doesn't have good per minute rates. Domantas Sabonis is going to be the one handling the ball a lot of the time. But Malik Monk was second on the team in potential assists last game. First guy off the bench, played 28 minutes. That's definitely not to say that it's shocking, right? Because he is already playing decent minutes, but he was more responsible as a playmaker yesterday than anyone, or last game, than anyone not named Domantas Sabonis, if we were wondering what this was going to look like.
Yeah, this is a very, very tricky one because you need to try to predict who's going to be in the closing lineup here. We saw Davion Mitchell get the start, and he played like a normal starter. First quarter starter run, second quarter starter run, third quarter starter run, never saw the floor again. They basically went to Malik Monk in that closing spot. Now, I think it is interesting that they were behind to the Pacers. So you are looking for a little bit more of offensive pop. I think if Sacramento is up 6 or 7, that you're more likely to see Davion Mitchell closing over Malik Monk in that spot. But we also do see Malik Monk close over Kevin Huerter from time to time. But with Fox out, we saw Huerter get the normal 36 minutes of run as a closer. We actually saw Keegan Murray not close this game. They went to a little bit more of Trey Lyles and then brought out Terrence Davis. So there's an interesting dynamic going on. I didn't want to give Davion Mitchell 3 rotations and then never see the floor, because I do think it's possible for him to close this game depending on how the score breaks. And I don't think that it's a guarantee that someone like Malik Monk always closes, because if they're ahead, they probably want more defense. So I tried to sort of split that fourth quarter rotation in half, a couple more minutes to Davion Mitchell than he got on Friday, a couple less for Malik Monk. So I have Mitchell in for 26 minutes, Monk in for 25. I think they're basically the same sort of guy, at least relative to salary. I have 14% of both of them. I also have 14% of Terrence Davis, who got some of this extra time. I'm probably going to try to avoid the ownership on Monk a little bit more than anybody else, but he clearly looks good and has 30-minute a game upside, depending on how you think this game breaks. I think it's more likely that you see scenarios where Monk doesn't get those minutes. Could go either way. The guys that I feel safest about, Harrison Barnes is just going to be out there for 35, 36 minutes no matter what. Sabonis is going to be out there for 36 minutes, potentially a little bit more. I don't find him interesting most nights. He's 10,500 center only, but he doesn't get the same sort of bump you would expect with Fox being off. His usage rate doesn't really change. Does he handle the ball a lot? Yeah, but it's not like he gets this giant assist bump. He's just sort of the same guy when he's out there no matter what. And I find it fascinating. I don't have any Sabonis right now. It never makes me feel good. I have him projected for 50 fantasy points. That's 1.39 fantasy points per minute. It's not as if I think that I'm like underrepresenting him. I just don't think he's a great per dollar play when there's so much value out there at center.
I get it. Then would you say that Huerter and Barnes are 2 priorities on this slate?
They're the 2 guys I have the most from Sacramento. I like Kevin Huerter the most out of anything here. You get that shooting guard, small forward eligibility. We saw him get the 36 minutes. I think he's more likely to play 36 than like the 18 or 21 than he had on Monday and Wednesday, because I just don't see this. His size allows him to be out there, and it lets them sift through the Monk Mitchell piece in a different way, where when Fox is here, then it's Monk competing with Huerter. I don't think anything's competing with Huerter any longer.
Right. WS, member for 10 months, using that free super chat. Someone asked earlier, how did you join? Figueroa, I think it was. It's down there. I'm subscribed. I am joined, but I don't know. It should be down there, like next to the thumbs up, which, by the way, 135 thumbs up. Hit that like button if you haven't done so. It's Sunday morning. We got almost 800 people watching with us. So, all right.
It's not bad.
Yeah. I mean, hey, it makes sense, right? Like, people don't usually work on Sunday morning. So I get it. We're happy to have everybody here. But seeing that we got about 725 and only 140 likes definitely begs the question, what's happening?
I know. I mean, that's just, we're all here on a Sunday. We're having some good vibes and stuff.
Great vibes today.
It's a thumb click, thumbs up. Is that so difficult?
Yeah,
feels like it shouldn't be.
Trying to start people's days off nicely, I thought. Had a super chat too, before we flip over to the Pelican side, from Ace of Spade. Banchero, excuse me, Mobley, Turner, or Rozier. Oh, for DK tiers.
Whoever's projected highest.
Yeah, right. Whoever's projected. I mean, I can look that up for you.
I'm pulling it up right now.
Okay.
Can you give me the names?
Great thing about the projections for tiers, you just play the guy that's highest projected. Yeah. Banchero, Mobley, Turner, or Rozier.
Banchero, Mobley,
Turner.
It's Banchero.
Okay, there you go. Thanks for the super chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jordan just sent me something, the fat cat and the violet hat. And it was a picture of, remember that?
I do.
Where did that come from? And it was a picture of it with your face holding the 2 zinc bottles. But where did that come from? I can't remember. My memory sucks with this stuff.
You just call them the fat cat and the violet hat.
And then somehow the zinc bottles got injected into that as well.
Yeah.
a timer on his Apple Watch.
Timer, yeah.
Yeah, and he would take it on our NBA strategy shows.
Could be Travis. Yeah, dude, I'm not insulting anyone for working Sundays. We're doing a show right. I'm saying most people work less on Sundays than they do Monday through Friday. So it makes sense. All right. Talk about the Pels here. Let's assume for a second that there is no Joval today. Guillermo or old Willie Hernan Gomez is minimum salary.
Yeah.
He is and has always been a +1 fantasy point per minute guy, right? Like always been a quality fantasy point per minute producer. There's no better position, in my opinion, to get dirt cheap value than the center position because you will fall in the peripherals. Look at your boy Tari Eason the other day. I know you were stoked on that. But I saw you.
That's one way to fall into peripherals. Geesh.
Right. But am I wrong? Like, if you're a small forward value play, you're not falling into even that opportunity to be able to get, even 2-3 putback opportunities on a single sequence, on a single possession. Like,
so stupid.
Hernan Gomez, if he plays 23 minutes today at 3,000, still makes for a very good, very, very good play. If Joval's out.
Yeah, if Joval is out, then I assume we're getting a Hernan Gomez start, at which point he just looks absolutely fantastic. Let's be clear here, though. I have no idea what to do here. Joval hasn't missed a game this year. He's played them all, every single one of them. So we have no idea what they're actually going to do if he's out. We need to hope that he gets ruled out early. Like when they have to release their injury report, we need to hope that he is out at that point in time. Because right now I have him in and I like him at 5,700, even in 24 minutes. We got that 24-24 split out of him and Nance, but obviously Joval left a little bit earlier, could have potentially played more. But you have to assume that Willie Hernan Gomez is going to start today if this breaks the way that we think it's going to break, at which point the ownership that he's getting is completely correct. He's the best player in the day.
Yeah.
There's nothing else to really add. Now, maybe they don't start him. Who the hell knows? Maybe they start Larry Nance. Maybe they start Jackson Hayes. They're dumb. We have no idea what they're going to do. But the assumption is it's Willie Hernan Gomez, at which point you just play the hell out of him.
I think Nance too, though, just knowing that I know he's not minimum salary, but he is power forward eligible as well. I do look at a slate like this and go, usually you don't want each of these guys cannibalizing each other, right? Like but Larry Nance has power forward eligibility. How comfortable would you be playing both of them if Joval is out? They're both good per minute producers.
I wouldn't have much of an issue with it. Like, I don't get the sense that I would be getting a ton of Nance to begin with. So, if I have 150 lineups and like 10 of them have Nance and Willie Hernan Gomez, I don't mind that all that much. If Nance had a slightly better price, that's where it would start to get dicey to me. But I don't think that Larry Nance is just going to somehow play a ton of minutes. So like the 4,700, he's like a fantasy point per minute guy. Look, I like Larry Nance. He is getting ownership and he should. I don't mind playing them together. I probably wouldn't want to have a ton of it.
Okay. Could be Travis. Thanks for the super chat. Did Josh ever finish the chip? Yeah, he finished the chip.
I finished the chip on the stream. I'm not some bullshit artist like the man across from me.
That bullshit artist was being a good friend and ate like 80% of it without having to because I won the bet. Or did he get the lip tattoo? # Splash Brothers. Could listen to you guys ramble all day. Thanks, man. Happy Sunday to you as well. I don't even know if this is your fault because I know you were perfectly willing to do it.
Yeah.
Didn't you?
I've tried. I went into tattoo parlors in Wilmington. Jordan was part of the people that were calling to try to get me in Chicago. Like, we tried.
And nobody would do it.
No.
We're just going to have to like find somebody.
Yep.
That used to be a quality tattoo artist, made some wrong turns in life. I
will get this tattoo at some point in time. I have no problem doing it.
I know you will. I think there's somebody out there who's shacked up, got fired from the tattoo job because he was coming in reeking of booze or nodding out while doing
I feel like I'm going to get AIDS if I let that guy give me a tattoo.
I bet he's still got his stuff that we could just sit you down on, walk in there, sit you down, and he'll go, yeah, fuck yeah, I'll do it. Let's go. I'm not. I think he'd do it. Oh, we can find somebody.
Not really excited about any part of this, but I will get that tattoo at some point.
We'll figure it out. Someone tweeted us that he knows a guy in North Carolina. Like if he's reputable, we'll get you over there. It's going to be exactly what I described.
We will get this done at some point in time.
All right, we will. Before this NBA season's out, I think we have to.
Sure.
That's fair. You've had plenty of time.
Yeah. We'll see if maybe I'm going to Vegas in March. Maybe there's got to be some real ridiculous things that could happen in Vegas. Maybe I can get it done there.
Yeah, for sure. Get married to someone weird and go get some lip tattoos.
Taylor Swift concert.
I know you're stoked.
I mean, I'm not going, but that's why we're going.
Yeah, your wife is going with friends. Yes.
Yes.
All right. How else do we want to approach New Orleans then? Because there are a lot, like with Joval, of course, projected out in our projections and in our ownership. But even so, just a lot of guys pulling ownership today for this Pels team in a obviously great matchup against the Sacramento Kings.
Yeah, and I like them more than the public. And keep in mind, I have Joval in, and I'm 2xing CJ and 2xing Brandon Ingram and 3xing Herb Jones right now. McCollum, 7,500. He's like a 26% usage guy. He's playing 36 minutes a night. He's the point guard of the team, so 27% assist rate as well. I think he is properly owned at 26%, but I am getting this is a stand that I'm taking. Brandon Ingram has come back in the last 3 games that he's played: 33 minutes, 32 minutes, and 36 minutes. I gave him 33. He's only 7,100. This is a guy that's like a 1.2 fantasy point per minute guy in this spot. He might be my most exposed player right now. Let me see if that's true. Now, that won't be the case if that Willie Hernangomez value comes out. But yeah, I have more Brandon Ingram than I have anybody else on this slate right now. I just think it fits pretty well. He's 1.2 fantasy points per minute over the last 30 days, which is obviously only like 5 games since he's been back, but it hasn't been a problem. Herb Jones played 40 minutes on Saturday in regulation, played 35 and 36 the 2 games before that. I only gave him 33. He's 4,900. He's 9% owned for reasons that I don't totally understand. This is a 0.8 guy. So he's not even like that normal, he plays a lot of minutes, but he's terrible on a per minute basis. He's a little bit better than terrible, and that's really all that I need to see. I love getting to the Pelicans, and that's assuming Joval is in. The moment I take Joval out, I think everybody looks even better because you're taking that 24% usage Joval off the floor. And at worst case, you're just swapping him out for Willie Hernangomez.
Right, exactly. Yeah, Ingram's been really fascinating since he's returned too. I know he hasn't shot particularly well, but the last couple, like the first 3 games he was back, he did not shoot well. Looks perfectly fine to me. Someone had said like, "Hey, he's not shooting well. He doesn't look right. Do we just wait?" It's like that's what you wait on that, and then he goes off, and then his price goes up $800, and you missed it. Sometimes you just have to continue to run them out there because you knew he was going to get right. He was out for a while. 39% usage rate in the 5 games since he's returned.
Yeah. Sign me up. I only have it in at 31, and I think he's a great play.
Right. I'm not saying it's sustainable, but like his lack of fantasy production was not for lack of chucking. That's all.
Sure wasn't.
Let's wrap this one up. Last thing here. We talked to you about how to get a free month. PrizePicks isn't everywhere. I get that. It's usually in like non-legal betting states. But guess what? BetMGM. BetMGM, you're getting the free month too. And you're getting first bet insurance up to $1,000. Meaning if you deposit 10, which is all you need to do, using that link in the description or in chat, takes 2 minutes to sign up. That's what you need. I say it every time. You need 2 minutes to sign up. You need $10. Find $10 somewhere. Well worth it. Because you're getting a free month. All our tools built by Alex Baker, Awesemo himself, managed by some of the sharpest guys, along with Alex, right, out there, some of the best DFS players. You may not see them often, but you see their screenshots up on the Hall of Fame quite often. All of the tools for all the sports. You're taking $10 when you use the link. You follow the directions. Takes a couple of minutes. You take that $10, you put it on any game, right? Whether it's a prop tonight, you want to use our NBA Bet Pro tool, you want to use all of our videos, over at over at the Odd Shopper channel. Find the best side total, find the best prop. You could, like I said, the Bet Pro tool's free for the first week too. That link's down in the description. That's been crushing. Any of that, find the bet, place it. Once that bet settles, you're getting the free month of Stokastic plus Platinum. And if that bet wins, you get paid out. If that bet, and you get the free month. If it loses, you still get the free month. But whether it's 10, 50, 100, or 1,000, up to $1,000, whatever loses comes back to you in bonus bets. That's the first bet insurance. That's just icing on the cake for what's already a very obvious no-brainer. So you want to get in on the tools, whether you're in whatever state. I think PrizePicks and BetMGM covers 48 states. So one of those you're in, likely. Very high likelihood that you're in one of those. So whether you take advantage of the BetMGM or PrizePicks, you want the free month, you want to get in the Hall of Fame, you want to start making money. Plus, if you're playing lower stakes, dude, you're using these tools in lower stakes. Most people aren't using these in lower stakes. You're gaining a huge edge there as well. Check it out. Links down there. And of course, must be 21 years or older to gamble. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, please call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Boom. Getting good at that. Getting real good at that.
I mean, is that you want to go good? That's the word you use to describe
that was
it?
Fantastic.
Is it?
You do it.
I would just read it in a normal pace. I don't know why we have to read it all fast like that.
Because that's how it's done, man. Must be 21 years or older to gamble. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, please call or text 1-800-GAMBLER.
I think that information.
Give it a shot. I
think that information is important. I want people to hear it, not me go through it so quickly.
You heard what I said.
I think you're just undermining the fact that somebody might have a gambling problem.
No, not at all. I respect it, but I respect their time as well.
I mean,
I respect their time as well.
We all know that none of us are calling that number.
Dude, God. All right. No, that's here, master save. We're not. It's it's 21st century, it's 2023. We're texting that number. Yeah. All right. Last game. Denver and Minnesota. Denver 3-point dogs against the Timberwolves here. 233.5 total. There are certain players that just catch fire throughout a year, and other guys that are kind of, you like to see it more than others. With Jamal Murray, with the injury absences and all that stuff over the past couple of years, it sure is nice to see this dude just smashing lately.
It's great. 1.22 FanDuel points per minute over the past 30 days. He's back playing, 35, 36 minutes a night. If Denver has any aspirations of winning the title, these guys got to be healthy. They've been exceptional in the playoffs. In previous times, we saw Jamal Murray and Donovan Mitchell go toe-to-toe a couple of years ago, which was awesome to see. I'm so ready to see this team in the playoffs. That said, $8K for Jamal Murray is about the right price tag to me. He's 12.5% owned. He's 12.5% coming out of my sim. I get it. I don't mind going to Jamal Murray. I don't happen to have him. I actually have very little of Denver right now, including, and this will change a little bit if we get more value, but we have Nikola Jokic projected for 30% ownership. I don't see that at all. I have none, which is terrifying.
He's at 31% on DraftKings right now.
Yeah, I am obviously a Jokic stan, have been for a minute, and I don't love this one. So I don't know how to project Nikola Jokic. Now, let me be clear. I got him for 54.1 fantasy points in 34 minutes. I got him at 1.6 fantasy points per minute in this spot. But they have started 25 games this season with this starting lineup. Now, there is a Q tag on KCP, but we'll ignore that for right now. Murray, Jokic, Gordon, KCP, MPJ. They've started 25 games this year. Nikola Jokic has a 25% usage rate in those games. Now, does he have a big assist rate? He does. I got him in for a 42% assist rate in this spot, but he is not soaking up the usage for this team in situations where everybody is healthy. He's deferring a little bit more to Jamal Murray or to Aaron Gordon or to Michael Porter Jr. So I can't get that tippy top projection for him, but he's priced at 11.4 today. He's the most expensive guy. At the very minimum, and this scares the hell out of me when I say it, I don't think the ownership between Jokic and Embiid is correct. Embiid is projected for half the ownership of Jokic right now. Just right away, I would rather flip-flop those two guys if I could. I like Embiid more than I like Jokic today. Not something that I typically say, but that's how I feel for today's slate. And I think you can make a case that the extra $900 that you save to go to Sabonis is more interesting than Nikola Jokic. I have a hard time going up that way. Now, could Nikola Jokic go out and drop 35, 15, and 10 today and make it a moot point? Yes. He's really, really good.
Yeah, decent
I feel like
player.
he's getting a little bit too much love for this spot.
Oh, it's such a tough call. I mean, whenever you have a guy that's plus 130 to triple double,
it's a big number. But like, we also have Joel Embiid with 38% usage in these scenarios.
I know.
Like,
I know.
are these guys really 2x different in ownership for today? I don't have it like that.
Yeah, it's
last 30 days. Jokic 1.71 FanDuel points per minute. Embiid is 1.69. Like, they're even playing the same.
Oh no, I
right
get
now.
it. I totally get it. Yeah, and Embiid's number certainly bolstered by that game against Nikola Jokic, where he was trying to put himself on a show. But no, listen, I get it. I think Jokic has the higher floor, but in tournaments, not sure how much that matters. You know what I mean? Like, because if Embiid goes for 45 and 15, you'd be okay with that.
Let's see. Do we have it here? Give me 1 second. I assume it's got to be here. Do we not have Jokic? The points, rebounds, assist prop on PrizePicks for Embiid is 46.5. But Jokic isn't on there.
You're looking at points, rebounds, and assists for Jokic?
Yeah.
Is that what you said?
Yeah. I'm going to a sports book now instead of Prize. I tried to use PrizePicks.
45.5 juice to the over -125 on DraftKings for Jokic.
45.5
points, rebounds, and assists.
Okay.
Do you want me to pull up Embiid?
If you can get there quickly, I'm trying to beat you to it, but you might get there before I do.
Yeah, I will. So Joel Embiid, points, rebounds, and assists, 46.5 -110. It's the same line, basically.
Yeah. And we're getting half an ownership difference.
Basically the same line. Yeah. Now, of course, assists are worth more than rebounds, and we could get into all of that, but still, yeah, I get your point. Point taken for sure. Anything else for Denver? And we'll wrap this up with the Minnesota Timberwolves.
You can always take a shot at a starter. If KCP happens to be out, Bruce Brown will look a little bit more interesting. I assume they're not going to be playing Bones Highland today, but Christian Brown is a flat 3K shooting guard. He played 32 minutes on Saturday after KCP went down. If KCP happens to be out, Christian Brown is a solid enough pay down value option.
Okay. We have fun on this show, man. You guys, sometimes we go a little long, shout out to Jordan. I know it's a short slate, but I feel like when you're doing a strategy show, Josh, you gotta make it somewhat interesting, right? Because the deeper dive is just going to have more information on the same game by game breakdown.
Yeah. I mean, where else are you going to get 15 minutes on Kyrie?
I'm sure everywhere, but you won't get these takes. You won't get these takes on ESPN. They'll get fired. That's what's nice about this, is you can actually say what you're thinking here. You could say what you're thinking on ESPN as long as it's aligned with what they want you to be thinking.
Yeah. As long as you're represented by CAA.
Yeah. Like if you start railing on old Pfizer on ESPN, things get ugly.
Yeah.
You're
not allowed to talk about how garbage of a person Walt Disney was.
Oh, old Walt. Yeah. I saw that in 2022, they had $100 billion in revenue.
Not bad.
And then this year they're like, yeah, it's looking rough. We're projecting only 71 billion in revenue. Tough year for the good guys, man. Poor guys.
I'm a fan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think they're a benevolent force, if you ask me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Really like them.
I'm big fans.
I think they're really looking out for us too. Bottom line.
Agreed. Agreed.
Minnesota,
that Martin Shkreli guy. Great guy.
Minnesota, Rudy Gobert. It's hard to actually know what's going on with him. I know he gets labeled questionable a lot, but then randomly he just doesn't actually play.
Yeah, that one wasn't fun for me on Wednesday. I immediately knew that I was going to bend over and grab my ankles when he got ruled out because he was my most exposed player at that point. That
Hopefully you
said,
were in a room by yourself.
I just ran through a cornfield. Kyle Anderson.
Backwards. You gotta say backwards.
Sure. I mean, corn's coming from all angles.
No.
Kyle Anderson, questionable. Rudy Gobert, questionable. Jordan McLaughlin is finally potentially back. He's questionable. There's so much hanging in the balance here. But if you assume everybody's in, some of these guys look good. 9,900 for Anthony Edwards is getting to the point where that's a pretty high price tag. But at 7.5% ownership, I like him in GPPs. I think he's underrepresented. D'Angelo Russell's playing 37 minutes a game, basically, right now. He's 7,200. He's a fantasy point per minute guy. I think he's properly owned. I get so much Rudy Gobert right now. It's insane, and it's happening once again. So in lieu of me paying up at center, I'm getting a shit ton of Rudy Gobert. It's a 1.1 fantasy point per minute guy playing about 33 minutes a night. I'm going to happily go there once again. His rebounding rate has been staggering in all of the games that we've had no Karl Anthony Towns. So I expect that to continue. We see Jaden McDaniels getting some love. Kyle Anderson, totally fine to me if he is in. Jalen Noel is this chalk piece once again, 20% owned off the bench, 3,400. We have no Austin Rivers, but we still only got 17 minutes out of Jalen Noel on Friday. If Jordan McLaughlin is back, I don't know if I love that ownership number on Noel. I see why it's happening, but to me, over-owned in GPPs. I don't mind getting to the Minnesota side, but as I've said in multiple shows over the past week or two, Rudy Gobert is the guy that I like the most.
And it's also possible that, like, depending on the Ja news and some other news, it's also possible that Jalen Noel's ownership just completely bottoms out if some of that potential guard value opens up. Like, he could be virtually unowned when he's 20% right now.
I don't really know why he's 20%, especially I didn't run this with Hernan Gomez. So, like, I don't even have his value factored in. And I still don't get to Jalen Noel like this. So I'm a little surprised to see that number be as high as it is. I will look, backup guards that play 19 minutes a game, I'll happily avoid them if they're in 1/5 of everybody else's lineups.
Yeah. Hey, let me ask you this. We'll wrap the show with this. Of course, shout out to Jordan Klein for producing this one.
Yeah.
Jordan needs to relax sometimes, though. And hit that thumbs up too. Before I ask you this question, and also if you want, like we said, you want to get the free month, join our Discord, get all of our tools, hopefully win some money. So you stick around. Think you will. Links to PrizePicks and BetMGM are down there, whichever one is available to you. And if you're a betting man or woman, NBA Bet Pro free for the first week. So get in on that. That's been crushing, man. People have had a lot of success with our brand new Bet Pro tool. All of the best props, super easy to find them, especially if you're someone that doesn't have a lot of time. You just pop in there and you're like, all right, let me filter by highest expected ROI. That works. Assuming that Joval is out, Hernan Gomez is the best value play on the slate. We agree on that, right? That's just the preface.
Yes.
Thing, right?
Assuming he's starting.
Assuming he's starting. Yes. Who other than that would be your favorite value play? Sub 4K right now. We just talked about Jalen Noel. That's why I'm asking you, like, are there any other real cheap value plays that you would put ahead of him if, say, Ja is in and nothing else really huge breaks throughout the day?
Yeah, like if Ja is out, then Tyus Jones becomes that guy. Of
course.
I like John Conchar quite a bit at 3,500.
Okay.
He got 28 minutes yesterday. I like John Conchar if everybody is in for Memphis. Obviously, if everybody's out, like, there's just his minutes look better and better, but he was able to get 28 in that spot. They didn't go to Zaire Williams till late. It seems like Conchar should be good for 28 minutes. I could see him just starting for Dylan Brooks in this spot as well, and playing alongside of Bane, Morant, Jackson, and insert center here. But I think John Conchar would be my, and I use the term favorite pretty loosely. It's not like I'm really excited to have a $3,500 John Conchar, but he's the guy that I think is probably the best value option that's out there for right now.
Follow Josh at Josh Engleman. Check out the PrizePicks picks as well. Follow me at Laffy_D. Shout out to Jordan one more time. Can't wait. He can't wait to get out of here.
No.
And good luck today, guys. We got a bunch of other stuff, though. Like I said, you got Live Before Lock coming up at what is it? 5 o'clock, NBA Live Before Lock, EMAT. Okay, cool. Yeah, that makes sense. All right. Yeah, that works. EMAC, Matt Lamar coming up 4:45. Gonna give you a little bit of that FanDuel action before that tips off as well. Josh, are your contenders up?
They are not. I'm going to record them right now.
There you have it. Check that. Keep an eye out for them right here on the channel, and check out all our betting stuff for everything. We got Super Bowl content being pumped out, basketball, you name it, over on the Odd Shopper channel. Appreciate you guys hanging with us. Have a great rest of the weekend. Peace.